Alright guys, Pterodactyl here and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to give you my predictions for which maps we're going to get when the Eastern Front arrives in Hell Let Loose. I have come up with 4 predictions for the game. We know at the time of making this video that 3 maps are in active development for the game, but we do not know the identity of any of them or if they are for the Eastern Front. When the Eastern Front drops, I do really think we should get at least 2 maps and then more added down the line. So if you like this video, then give it a like and subscribe, as I'll be looking into the weapons and vehicles that could arrive as well. Now, onto the maps. The Battle of Moscow. After the Germans managed to push the Soviets back further and further into Russia, they wanted to take Moscow. Their plan was to use their 2nd, 4th and 9th armies, supported by 3 panzer groups and the Luftflotte 2. Their forces came to just under 2 million men, 1,700 tanks and 14,000 artillery pieces. Their plan was called Operation Typhoon and was based around a double pincer movement against the Soviets' western front and to the south to capture Bryansk. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that right. If successful, this would have allowed the Germans to encircle Moscow. However, the Germans failed to account for the several months of campaigning they had done to get to this point in the Soviet Union. Their supply lines faced a lot of difficulties in getting supplies to the front, and they were really low on fuel. The Soviets built multiple defensive lines around the city and even drafted in civilians to help with this construction. The Germans made gains in the battles, but their troops were badly worn down and lacked proper winter clothing to combat the -50-degree temperatures. Eventually, both prongs of the German pincer attack were bogged down. This led to them making a frontal assault, but this was defeated. The Soviets then launched a counterattack and pushed the Germans back from Moscow. This victory for the Soviet Union would allow them to gain momentum to push the Germans out of their territory. My thoughts on this map would be for an offensive only map similar to Omaha Beach, and this map would start out in the surrounding countryside of Moscow before ending in like the last 4 sectors being set within Moscow itself. The Battle of Stalingrad, one of the deadliest battles in World War II with a reported 2 million casualties. The Germans started their offence in August 1942 using the 6th Army and the 4th Panzer Army. Their attack was supported by heavy bombing from the Luftwaffe. This reduced most of the city to rubble, and the battle ended up with intense house-to-house fighting. On the 19th of November, the Soviets launched Operation Uranus, which was a 2-pronged attack to target the weaker Romanian and Hungarian armies, protecting the 6th Army's flanks. The flanks were overrun and the 6th was cut off. Hitler wanted to hold the city at all costs and forbade the 6th Army from attempting to break out of the city. They tried to resupply them with airdrops and to break the encirclement from the outside, but in February 1943 the Axis forces surrendered. The Battle of Stalingrad can be considered one of the biggest defeats of the German army, and it is often described as the biggest turning point of the Eastern Front and in the entire Second World War. Germany lost its entire 6th Army, nearly 1 million men. I envision this map in Hell Let Loose as a purely urban only map, not like Carentown where it's got a huge chunk of urban in the centre with surrounding countryside. I mean the entire map just being the city, but with destruction everywhere. Rubble and destroyed vehicles littering the streets. Nearly every building has been destroyed or damaged in some way. Now, I'm not sure if the devs can make an urban only map, the same size as their normal maps. So maybe this could be a smaller map, but a lot denser, with more buildings that can be entered and all the extra destroyed detail and cover everywhere. The Battle of Kursk. The Germans hoped to weaken the Soviet army before the summer of 1943 by cutting off and enveloping their forces that they anticipated would be in Kursk. Hitler wanted a victory to reassert German strength in the east. They hoped to capture a large number of Soviet prisoners so they could be used as labour. However, the Soviets were aware of the German plans due in part to British intelligence. The Soviets had a few months to prepare for the German armour that would spearhead the attack. The battle was the last offence that Germany would launch on the Eastern Front. This was partly due to the Allied invasion of Sicily. German troops that were being trained in France to support the Eastern Front had to be diverted to Sicily. The extensive losses suffered by the Germans meant that the Soviets had the initiative for the rest of the war. The Battle of Kursk was the first time the German army had failed to break through any enemy defences. I think this map would be something similar to Saint-Marie-du-Mont, as this battle was during the summer. I don't think it's going to be snowy like Foy. The Battle of Berlin. This led to the suicide of Adolf Hitler and the end of World War II in Europe. The Soviets attacked the city from the east and the south, while another group overran German forces positioned north of the city. Before the main battle began in the city streets, the Soviets encircled the city. The German forces consisted of several depleted and disorganized Wehrmacht and Waffen-SS divisions, along with the Volkssturm, which was a militia, and the Hitler Youth. Over the course of a week, the Soviets gradually took over the entire city. Now, I think this map should focus on the battle for the Reichstag. This would, of course, include the Reichstag at the centre of the map, a large multi-storey, burnt-out building. If the devs could make it so the strong point for this capture point was towards the top of the building, that would offer some unique gameplay for this map. And I offer this suggestion as it would emulate capturing the building and planting the flag on the top, which led to this very famous photo. This would mean that this map would be another urban focus map like Stalingrad, but with the difference in architecture and the focus on the Reichstag, this would help it stand out and be its own map. So there we have it. Those are my thoughts on some maps we could get for the Eastern Front. I know there'll be plenty more battles that could be represented in Hell Let Loose, and plenty more battles that I won't know about, like smaller battles. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and if you like this video, then give it a like and subscribe for more Hell Let Loose videos, and thank you for watching.